Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. I believe it was the day before yesterday, LeBron made some headlines with some comments that he made about NBA players not playing as many games as players used to in the past. And essentially, the point LeBron was making was that playing 82 games today, it's harder than it was to play 82 games in the 80s and the 90s. When he said that, a lot of people were like, this is insane, right? But, of course, you had some of his supporters that were like, yeah, man, LeBron is making some sense here, So what we want to do is, for those of you who don't remember what he said, I want to play his comments for you originally because it ties into a lot of what's going to be said today. Take a listen to what LeBron said a few days ago.
At some point, like you said, it'd be a conversation that'd be brought up again, and hopefully we can kind of figure it out and get to a better place about it, because the game is different. Like, I want people to understand, and our fans to understand, that playing 82 games in the 80s and 90s is not the same as playing 82 games in the 2020s. It's just not. The way we play, the level of pace, the level of the speed that we're playing at, it's a different game now. It's a totally different game. And, it's a lot of soft tissue injuries that's happened now because of it. I hope we can get a handle on that as well, because that's big in our game. I think when I first came into to the league, Reese, like, some of the biggest concerns of injuries was like, a high ankle sprain. You was afraid to step on somebody's ankle because there was 4 or 5 guys sitting in the paint. So, guys with athleticism, myself, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, to name a couple guys, sometimes you're afraid to take off into the lane because there was 4 or 5 guys sitting in the paint. And if you land on somebody's ankle, you get a high ankle sprain, you out 4 to 6 weeks. Now that's not really much of you don't really see that as much now because the game is so spread open, it's so much pace. But now you see the new high ankle sprain is the calf.
Right.
Hopefully we can get a handle on that from a medical standpoint. But it's just the game. I just want the fans to understand that the game is a little different. And, as NBA players, we definitely want to be out there.
Excellent. So you heard his comments there. So after he put out those comments, and this is a thing that I think is important because we have a lot of dweebs in this space. We have a lot of childish people in this space where it's like, if you don't agree with LeBron, you must be some kind of hater, number one. Number two, you didn't play basketball. So how can you possibly qualify to, number one, have an opinion, and two, understand what these guys are saying? And this is usually what people try to throw at fans when they want to talk about the sport that they patronize. They say you don't get it. But what I keep seeing time and time again is that you'll see one NBA player throw out a particular talking point or a particular idea. Then you have fans that will push back on that idea. And then you will also hear other NBA players that played in the same NBA saying, no, you are wrong for X, Y, and Z reason, which is the same thing that the fans said. And that's exactly what happened here with Paul Pierce, because he was on his podcast with Danny Green and they were reacting to the comments of LeBron James, and Paul Pierce was just like, bro, you sound crazy. So what we want to do now is we're going to play what Paul Pierce had to say here in response to what LeBron said, and then we're going to come back and continue on. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
Okay, yeah, there's more movement, right? Let's just say they're circling. In the 2000s, we had to fight through picks.
Yeah.
We had to really fight
It's more physical.
on defense.
It was more physical.
So, that's harder to do. If tonight, I got to get through this Patrick Ewing, Anthony Mason pick and roll all night.
It's not harder on your Achilles,
mentally.
So many times I'm bruised up after the game. My shoulder hurts.
It's definitely more physical.
It's hurting.
So why were more guys playing 75 games a year then?
Because it was tougher. Well, now you're switching everything. So you make up for the running you had to do on defense for our era. You take that out of their defensive switching everything now, because you had to stay home on everybody. So you did more running on defense than they do now.
More half court set though. I don't disagree. It was definitely a tougher era. It was definitely more physical.
Yeah.
But this era is more miles. They're getting more miles. They're running more marathons, bro. So like that's why the tendons. You have a tendon issue.
I do think they just do more.
So it's more up and down. It's less half court set. Back then,
So
it's
that
like
makes it harder.
more pinned down. No, I'm not saying it's harder. I'm just saying
It's
But
hard
that's
on
what
your
that
body.
was.
it's harder for the tendons.
When I'm switching on defense every time down.
No.
But you're not.
Again,
I'm switching on
No,
defense.
you're not. Every
And now
time.
we're
It
watching.
depends on the
Now I'm
matchup.
sitting up here on defense watching the ISO ball.
You're taking it different. Like
No.
I'm not saying it's harder. I'm saying it's harder for your tendons on the body than it is. Like
I think
that.
harder
That
for
was
our
probably a
bodies.
harder.
The defense is
mentally,
harder to play.
mentally and physically, I think it was harder than like to actually do it. But
Paul's
like,
saying these guys aren't tough enough to play 75 games. It's
When
like,
we ran through the middle of the paint, you was getting hit. You was gonna get hit.
yeah, you was.
You
You
was
getting
gonna
tagged.
get
That's
hit
all time.
way more.
But you was also playing the half court set more, so it's more stagnant.
Bro,
like,
it's
it's
more getting
way
hit.
more
Pin downs.
stagnant, bro. Way
was-
less
it was-
movement.
So again,
It's more getting
it's,
hit, though.
would you rather get the bruises of muscle bruises or like that's the difference?
Why are we getting tendon bruises?
Because they're
we're
running.
not conditioned. Because we're not
Maybe so.
practicing every day.
Maybe so.
Maybe.
I agree with that.
Practice
I-
every day, so
I agree with that.
like you heard the term when you was growing up, practice how you play. Well, you're playing and not practicing.
And they're going not even
And
at
now
game
you're
speed.
now you're
Yeah.
hamstring. Why is there more hamstrings? Because you're not practicing. How
I think
you
it's
play.
just over. I think it's overuse.
Excellent. So you heard what he said. What are my thoughts on what Paul Pierce had to say? Look, I think what Paul said made a lot of sense. I think this NBA, they lost a lot of fans when they tried to act like they were smarter than the general public. They treated fans like they were dumb, and they thought that they could get away with it. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Load management. They said that, load management is because the players are in it and it was important. You remember the whole wave. And then the commissioner, Adam Silver, pushed for it, which is something that I think ended up watering down the product. And I think it ended up hurting the overall interest in it. Yeah, people click and watch on the internet videos and highlights and all of that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, it's a great product. We can all watch something that's bad and it can be watched a lot of times. That doesn't indicate that it's great. But anyway, fans were complaining, but he was pushing for this. Then he later on found out that it was a pseudoscience, which a lot of people said it was. It makes no sense, right? How can you get better at doing something and build up a callus for doing some physical activity by doing it sporadically? That makes no sense. Even when you apply it in your everyday life, that makes no bloody sense, right? If you go to the gym and you train 1 week, then you don't train another week, and then you train the next week, number one, you're going to see inconsistent results, and it's the quickest way to lead to injuries. And it's hard to maintain your strength and all of that. But if you go consistently, it's obviously you're able to avoid injuries because you're stronger. You're not shocking your body. If you're benching 100 pounds for 1 week, then the next week you take it off, then you come back again. Well, that 100 pounds is not going to feel the same way it felt 2 weeks ago. We all know this. This is pretty rudimentary stuff here, number one. Number two, LeBron was trying to pull the wool over your eyes and act like, no, you guys are not seeing it. It was a more physical game. We all know this. So to suggest a game that's more physical is easier to play than a game that is cardio based, it's insane. It's insane to suggest that, but that's what they did. That's what he did. And then some people tried to back it up. But then you have other fans that said no, and NBA players agree on it. So for the people that say, the fans, you don't play the sport, you don't understand the sport, why is it that when fans put forward their views when they disagree with you, you find other NBA players with similar views as the fans? Explain that to me. Garnett just jumped into the group chat. What am I talking about? So about 2 days ago, LeBron made some headlines where he said that it was easier to play 82 games per season, a season in the 80s and 90s, as opposed to playing 82 games a year now. When he said that, he was greeted. Well, of course, his followers and media, they of course, they want to torque it up because that's what they do. But he was met by some pushback from other NBA players, right? Other NBA champions, finals MVPs, regular season MVPs. So guys that are pretty credible in the game. The first person that pushed back on this was Paul Pierce. But then the second person that pushed back on this was Kevin Garnett, which he did yesterday. And let me tell you something, guys. Kevin Garnett took it to a place that I think it needed to be taken to. And not only did he push back on LeBron, he exposed his entire thesis point. LeBron was trying to make it seem like, well, because of the injuries and the this and the new calves injuries and all this. And Kevin Garnett was like, no, you're not getting away with that. Number one, the game was more physical back then. Number two, you played more defense. And number three, he exposed why players are getting injured more today, and it has nothing to do with the way the game is played. And I thought that Kevin Garnett did an absolutely great job checking LeBron James, because it's important that you get pushback on this, because it sounds ridiculous on its face. It sounds absolutely ridiculous and absurd. So what we want to do is we're going to play what Kevin Garnett had to say here, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Kevin Garnett's comments here.
Some of the trainers were talking about the lack of calf raises for some of the players to end their workout. Bro, we used to end a workout, especially on a leg day, calf raises. This is how I'm speeding up, this is how I'm stopping, this is my whole wiggle. If your calves ain't here. And on top of, whenever I go to finish, I gotta be athletic enough to finish, right? Bro, when you start breaking that down,
like this is what Ticket talking about, that they out of shape. We practiced every day. We went up and down every day.
Like a game.
Like a game. So we 5-on-5 pretty much the whole season.
With drills.
With drills. And so now they come in and they doing a lot of individual work.
With a trainer.
So a lot of our game speed. Right.
With a trainer.
And then in the summer.
At half speed.
Right.
For 30 minutes.
Right.
But then they're gonna go play a 2-hour and think they gonna play.
In the summer, we play ball.
Ball,
like, we play 5-on-5.
For 7 hours.
In the summer, they individual work every day.
For 30 minutes. With one trainer.
Yeah.
And think that's gonna be the same. Like, what are we talking about here?
The same.
Bro, the whole workout an hour by himself. I come in here, it's 5 workout doing 30 minutes. Bro, This is not the same. No. Then he gonna go run Red Mountain and try to kill himself.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring up. Ticket, you had a pretty, memorable.
I gotta guard a Tracy McGrady. I gotta guard a real quarter, and I'm tired of my legs done. How do I simulate that? I gotta go play against people like this, and then I gotta take my body and try to kill it. Because when you, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. This is what them motherfuckers don't tell you about game 4 or game 5 or game 7. When you in mud and they come down to LO and they call in a triangle, you gotta stop LO from Lloyd, and I'm stuck in mud and my legs ain't even, and then, you know what I'm saying? And then I get to the huddle and 3-4 falling out. Motherfuckers don't want to play no more. Like, bro, you can't simulate this. This is the foxhole you in. So you try to put yourself in simulate. He would go to, what's the dunes you go to?
Oh, yeah, the dunes over there in Manhattan Beach.
I'm going to the opposite dune where it look like a whole mountain. Yeah. He doing that when I'm doing this one. We both talking what it take to get to the top. He talking about how he threw up. I talking about how I threw up coming down. He threw up on the way up. Like, Lord, who training like this? And why y'all training like that? Guess what? We get to the fourth quarter, we looking fresh, we dapping, yeah. Right. Yo, what you niggas getting in? Like, yo, talking about, you feel what I'm saying? So that's what we doing.
Excellent. So you heard what KG had to say. What Kevin Garnett said made perfect sense. It did. Look at the training. You've heard of the term two-a-days? Go back to look at the training camps. The training camps in the 80s and the 90s were way more vigorous. So obviously you're building up your body and you're building up the callus. Kevin Garnett brought up some pure examples of how they train. Now they do resistance training with bands and all of this stuff. Look at the training he was talking about. Running up sand dunes and hills and all of that stuff. Go look at some of the workouts that Kobe Bryant used to do. It's a totally different thing. Kobe would work out in the gym for hours, lift weights for hours, then go hit the track and run. The same thing Kevin Garnett is talking about. And they practice multiple times a day. In training camp, you practice. During the regular season, you practice. Kevin Garnett is exposing the stupidity of the comments that LeBron put forward. Obviously, there are going to be more injuries when you don't simulate what you're doing on the court in practice. You do these light 30-minute practices, and then you get into the game and you want to simulate a full. Of course, you're going to get, but this makes sense in reality anyway. If anybody here watching this show goes to the gym that heard LeBron's comments, you will know it makes no sense. You will know it makes no sense. Anyone watching this show that goes to the gym knows that Kevin Garnett is right on what he's talking about. If you go to the gym and you say, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm going to lift light. but Friday I'm going to lift heavy. Okay? And you lift 100 pounds a day, 100 pounds Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You get to Friday, today I'm going to do 200 pounds. Please tell me what's going to happen to you. What's going to happen to you? You're about to enter Snap City. Snap, pop, crackle city. You're about to be injured like crazy. Why is that? Because what you were doing prior to go lifting that 200 pounds, you were not building up to that. You were doing light work. So obviously when you get into the real thing and you want to lift heavy, really heavy, you're going to injure yourself. Duh. Duh, duh, duh. Duh. Duh, 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 duh. This is very straightforward stuff. You don't need to be an NBA player to understand this. If you're even into athletics at all, if you train, it's a form of athletics. So you understand this intrinsically. You understand it. So what KG is saying and what LeBron is saying, I'm with what Kevin Garnett is saying because it makes sense. Even when they were promoting load management, I never agreed with it before even LeBron made a comment about it. What he's leaving out is that these guys are playing less games because they want to elongate their careers. They're not even mentioning that aspect of it. They're just over there trying to gaslight you and say one thing and say the other thing. And it's like at a certain point, knock it off. That's why you heard him speaking with the passion that he spoke with, because that's how it needed to be said. It's like enough is enough. Like, come on, man. Like, and the thing that gets me is like some of these NBA guys, because they play in the NBA, they think they're smarter than the audience that they're talking to. People that watch and follow the NBA, you got a lot of smart folks. Stop acting like as if you have more knowledge and you're more of an intellect than people that watch the sport. It's a wrong assumption to make. You're not talking to idiots here. You're not talking to idiots. Stop acting like people are idiots when you put forth these points. It's like, it's ridiculous. I saw something yesterday that really stunned me. But first, let's get into the game. As you guys know, LeBron was going back to Cleveland, and there was this kind of storyline around, oh, is this going to be his last time in Cleveland, and blah, 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 and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and that, right? And it's just funny how the stories came about him potentially going to Cleveland. We did a live about it early in the day, and then all of a sudden, it was just like kind of LeBron Cleveland thing, and you know, in the air, right? In the air, and I'm like, that's a coincidence. Wink, wink. But I'd been one of the people that has always said LeBron should go back to Cleveland. In fact, yesterday I said he should go back to Cleveland in terms of ending his career because he would get the most love there. As you saw last night, they did the tribute and all of that. He cried. Some people said he wasn't crying. Some people said he did cry. Whatever it is, let's just say he cried, right? Because he's home, right? And the love that Cleveland gave him is not the same love LA is going to give him. The send-off LA is going to give him is not the send-off Cleveland can give. It's totally because you're at home, right? And those people accept you for who you are, good and the bad. Whereas in Lakerland, it's a totally different, you know, thing. But anyway, going into the game, one thought it would have been a little bit more competitive. It looked competitive at one point. But after a while, the Lakers just ended up getting the doors blown off of them by 30 points. If I look at the box score here, LeBron had 11, 6 turnovers, plus minus of 23, 30% shooting from the field. Jake LaRavia had 6. DeAndre Ayton, of course, a non-factor as always, 10 and 4. Nothing, no one is surprised by that. Marcus Smart had 2 points. Luka had 29 points, but of course he was right there with LeBron in terms of a minus 23. Not sure exactly how. Maybe it was his defense. So they didn't play well. On the other hand, the Cavs played pretty well. They had a very balanced attack. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in double digits. So they blew the doors off of them, right? But that's not the part that's making headlines. The part that's making headlines is what took place after the game. Because everyone had been talking, LeBron go back to Cleveland. It's the last game in Cleveland. So there's all of this excitement around LeBron. And in a post-game conference, or excuse me, post-game when they were interviewing Donovan Mitchell, this particular Cavs player, what's his name, Jalen Tyson, as they're talking about, you know, LeBron should come back and this and this and this and this and this and that, whatever. Son absolutely disrespects the hell out of LeBron James on live TV. And I was like, bro, did he just do this? Even Donovan Mitchell was like, damn, like, bro, what are you doing here, right? So for those of you who didn't hear his comments, want to play it for you now, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to his comments here.
Donovan, Oh, he wants Jalen Tyson in here. I actually wanted to talk about you two actually in a moment. But you guys are now 10-4 in January, won 5 in a row. We talked in this very same setting not too long ago about you guys need to turn it on. You're here now. You guys are feeling better. What's been the difference?
Just our intensity level on both ends of the floor. You know, not getting too high, not getting too low. Starting the games up strong, even when we don't, right? Like, find a way to be connected, be together. And then this guy's been phenomenal. You know what I mean? Obviously, Evan being out, it's going to be a lot more required on the both of us. So we're ready to step up, and everybody did their job tonight.
So Kenny Atkinson told us pregame, Jalen, about how you guys have created an incredible connection, and he's been so helpful, kind of helping you along, and you've been helpful in games with him. What is this connection like with you and Don?
I mean, to be honest with you, he's a great player, so it's easy to play off him. You know, I just read off him, and then he makes the right read every time. And then, yeah.
Now, Donovan, last one for you. Obviously, there's a different energy in this building when the James family's here. We saw how the fans reacted to Bronny, and certainly this could be potentially LeBron's last game in this building. How would you characterize his impact on this city and franchise? Well, you could say something too.
This is Donovan Mitchell City now. This is Donovan Mitchell City now. When he come back here, we're going to make sure that everybody root for him like they did for him. So this is his stuff. This is his city.
Yes, sir, Jalen. Donovan, do you have any thoughts on both?
As much as I appreciate that, you know, at the end of the day, he's laid the foundation, right? Like, they've done a lot for the city being from here. You know, obviously, we want to replicate that, you know what I'm saying? So he deserves the energy that he's got here. You know, at the end of the day, first title in 50-something years. For us, we're trying to do it, obviously, differently, but, like, at the end of the day, we're trying to find ways to go out there and bring a city another championship. But when you have support like that, you know what I mean, from your teammates, man, it means the world.
Yeah, it's certainly a great connection between you guys right now and this team right now. Donovan, congratulations.
So you heard what he had to say. Let me tell y'all, when I first heard that, I said that's disrespectful. Like, that's disrespectful, bro. Right. Those comments were disrespect. That's disrespect. That's disrespect. Right? It's disrespect. Period. End of story. And a lot of people were saying this all over the internet. So I was a bit surprised actually when I later on saw that he put out an apology in the post-game conference because someone got to him. Maybe the NBA, maybe Nike, maybe the Cavaliers. Somebody got to him and said, bro, that's a no-no. So what we want to do now is we want to play his apology quickly. I think it's like a 20-second, 30-second clip. Then we come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to that there.
There was no disrespect there. I didn't want to disrespect or step on nobody's toes. Like, that's one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Obviously, I was a Cavs fan growing up because of him, right? I didn't want to take away him, but I just wanted to give Don his flowers. That was my biggest goal in it. And if I offended anybody or anybody got mad about it, I'm sorry. I take personal responsibility, but I just want to give the man his flowers because we want to do the same thing that Bron and them did here. We want to do that with him as our leader.
So you heard what he had to say. What are my thoughts about this? I got a few. First thought is this is what happens when you don't build a home anywhere. This is what happens when you're a mercenary. When you go from team to team to team, you have no place to call your home. You have no place to call your home. So, like, they're like, nah, it's Donovan Mitchell City. That's crazy. Number one. Number two, that was extreme disrespect, bro. That's extremely, extremely, extremely disrespectful, bro. And my thing is, like, you would think that LeBron in year 23 would be more respected, but he's not. And this is just another example. We're not even going to bring up Dylan Brooks and all the other. I'm like, yo, there's no respect here. Where's the respect? I'm talking about from players. That is crazy to me. In Cleveland, it's like, nah, don't come back. What? If I'm LeBron, I'm feeling the kind of way about it. I'm feeling some kind of way about those comments. You heard? I'm feeling the type of way about it. I'm feeling the type of way about it. Like, though, that was disrespect. Nah, this is Donovan Mitchell City. Blah, blah. Like, yo, we good. Nah, he can stay over there. We good. What? That's crazy to me. Even Kobe's last year, man, nobody was talking nothing to Kobe. Nobody was trash talking to Kobe. Nobody, even when they knew he was a much lesser version of himself after the Achilles and the shoulder and all that stuff, nobody was talking, disrespecting Kobe. Like, nobody. Do you know what it was? Everybody was asking Kobe for signing shoes and like, bro, it was. That's wild disrespectful, bro. It's one thing you say, oh, man, them LeBron haters. This is not a LeBron hater. This is a player on the Cavs saying this. The level of disrespect there was incredible, bro. The level of disrespect was insane. These dudes, like, don't they respect him? You would have thought LeBron would have got in Cleveland. So I think Nike or the NBA somebody got to him. And somebody needed to get to him because those comments were not going to work out. Because if there is some truth to the fact that LeBron could come back next year and go to the Cavs this summer, rather, nah, this ain't going to work, bro. Them comments is not going to work. That was disrespectful.